Welcome to this episode of India Means Innovation, where we discuss the technologically complex innovations coming out of India. Today, we have with us Dhanya Rajeswaran, Managing Director of Fluence India. Fluence is a global leader in energy storage. Welcome, Dhanya.
Thank you for having me.
Dhanya, energy has been the real currency of humanity's growth. And over the last few years, we are seeing a massive shift towards the sources of energy, the rise of the renewables. Can you tell us about the scale of this shift?
It's pretty ginormous, right? So when you think about how the countries and world leaders have been pushing for a more sustainable way of fueling Earth's progress, right? So there's been a tremendous push for how do we have more renewables in the mix. So even if you look at India, just by the year 2030, the government is saying we have to hit a 50% mix with the renewable energy consumption in India, right? So the need for it is so urgent because the future of humanity depends on the sustainable way in which we are able to, power ourselves.
And as we go into renewables, let's say solar or wind, energy storage becomes a challenge. Can you talk about that?
Sure. So, if you think about the traditional sources of energy, much investment has been made decades and decades ago. So obviously those sources are much cheaper today because they've paid for themselves over the decades. But when you think about renewable energy, the business case for the investment lies in how much is the ROI the investor is able to take out of it, right? So why does a renewable energy storage become important? It becomes important because the way the renewable energy sources, so for example, solar or wind, they're obviously nature dependent and nature is never predictable. So there is inherently an unpredictability in the way the power gets generated. Now, if you discharge directly into the grid cannot accept the unpredictability of that power generation. And as a result, instability of the grid is an inherent risk. So what is necessary is for this unpredictable energy generation to get to a predictable mode before it gets into the grid. Enter energy storage, battery energy storage.
Battery energy storage, and that is what Fluence excels in,
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And the great innovation that we're going to talk about today is the Smartstack battery energy solution from
Yes.
Fluence. So the Smartstack, as I understand it, has two components. It's a stack and it's smart, right? So let's talk about the innovations on both sides. Let's talk about the stack part. The battery stack depends the energy density. So what is the innovation? What's the technology that Fluence uses in creating a higher density of energy in its battery storage?
It's a great question. And let me answer this as simply as I can, right? So, when you think about the battery energy storage solutions, think about it as boxes. Okay, so these are boxes that come with, batteries, and then it comes with its own control systems. It comes with its own array telco racks, the way it communicates, the system communicates, and then it comes with its software, and then it comes with its digital tools. So this is how it usually works. But when it works like this, the linearity of it, which means that you need X number of boxes to be added. With the Smartstack, what we've done is we've said, hey, if you needed to do more with lesser land, right? And that's where the word density comes in.
Right.
And the Smartstack divided this box into two. So there's a skid, which becomes the base, and then the pod, which sits on it. So not only is this going to allow us a modularity of design, which means it's easy to install, it's easy to service, it's quicker to deliver, but it also allows for us to pack more energy into it, and that's where the pod comes in. So the skid allows for the hard technology to be the foundation for the pod, which is stacked on top of the skid, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and this is an innovation of design and architecture.
Absolutely. There is no other design like that in the world today.
So now let's talk about the smart part of it. How is the battery stack, the smart stack? How does it become smart? How is it driven by software, digital, AI, all of it?
The software is where the smart part begins, right? So we have what we call as the Fluence operating system. It's proprietary, and it allows for us to be able to quickly commission it, remotely monitor it, and remotely diagnose the problems. Our Fluence operating system allows us to remotely monitor our entire fleet around the world from a singular location, and that's incidentally happening out of this location in Bangalore. We call it the Remote Monitoring and Diagnostic Center. But what that means for the customer is peace of mind, because the customer knows that there's somebody who's always looking at the performance of the product, which then allows for the customer to know that if something were to go wrong, then there's somebody immediately going to look at it, remotely fix it, because our Fluence operating software allows for us to remotely fix most of it. And if for whatever reasons we can't, then we have the entire wherewithal of our services team to do it. So that's where the smart part begins, right? And then we want to make sure that every component starts talking to each other, which then culminates into this control systems.
You talked about the grid stability right in the beginning. So the smart stack must be talking to the grid on a regular basis. What kind of advantages are we talking about with this, better design, better architecture of Smartstack and the digital layer controlling this? How much more efficiency, how much more productivity are we talking about?
We are anticipating at least a 30% more efficiency from the current standard of systems that is there in the world. Right? And that's pretty significant.
Oh, yeah. And how much installed base do you have out in the world? About 50 gigawatts?
We're roughly about 40 gigawatts right now and continuing to grow.
And a 30% efficiency at that level?
Probably.
Wonderful. What are the technologies that are the foundation of this innovation?
So what I haven't yet spoken to you about is how do we actually layer this Fluence operating system with even more intelligent systems on it, which gives the customer the bang for the buck, right? So we have a digital tool which is called the Mosaic, which is actually layered on top of this. It is an intelligent bidding solution, okay? So which means that it is able to, at any point in time, look at least 5,000 plus parameters that are constantly changing in the market, the energy market, and is able to then inform the customer when is a good time to bid for what you might have stored, when is a good time to discharge for what you might have stored, when is a good time to stop discharging for what you might have stored.
So this is the equivalent of algorithmic trading in energy.
Yes.
That means not just the stability of the grid, but also better ROI for the energy producer.
Of course. So around the world, you have energy exchanges.
Sure.
Okay. And today it's like guesswork, because you predict, okay, so the price of electricity is going to go up today because it's been a very sunny, very rainy day, and there isn't enough energy generation in the market. This much a human mind can comprehend and will be able to predict something. However, having an AI-led technology to help you make even more intelligent decisions then allows you to be much more smarter about all the other parameters that might come into play. And the power producers and the grid both benefit immensely from having something like that.
And it makes the energy distribution more predictable and gives you the best price.
Yes.
And all of this has been designed here in Bangalore?
Yes, and I'll add one more layer to this, cybersecurity.
Oh, yes.
Right? So the grids represent national security for any country. And therefore, having a system that talks to the grid then demands that that system is truly cyber secure. And I think that is also a huge competitive advantage for our product.
And I ask again, this whole thing has been
course.
conceptualized and designed
Thank you.
here in India.
So the ideation for Smartstack happens out of Bangalore. So it's one of our bright engineers who came up with this idea, worked with his colleagues around the world, conceptualized it, pulled together. The IP is held here, along with a couple of others in a different part of the world. But not only that, bulk of the design has happened out of India. We did the first prototyping out of India, and we continue to build the software out of India.
This is a wonderful example of India means innovation. Thank you so much, Dhanya.
Thank you so much. This was a pleasure.